data, my friend. What did they worry? Who travel not they come back?
On mute now.
It's currently 6 p.m. Nigerian time. I don't know if all my panelists are here. I can see Dr. Frederick Oderige. I see Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. I see Barrister Joseph Tendo Baggio.
I am seeing all of them. They are all present. They are all present.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you guys, is everything clear? Are you guys, am I clear from your end? Is there any interruptions? Is there any glitches before we get started? Okay. All right, sounds good.
And you are streaming live already on YouTube. We can see that you are streaming live already on YouTube.
All right. All right, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, greetings, my fellow Nigerians, and wherever you are. My name is Dr. Edmund Ike, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's conversation. I'm happy to have you all today. I'm happy to be the moderator of this great event. This event is a GCSDN project. That's a global coalition, security and democracy in Nigeria. And we have witnessed, I'm sure every one of us have witnessed the 2023 general election in Nigeria that happened. The presidential election happened on 25th of February, the governorship and state assembly election happened on the 18th March 2023. So here we are, post-election, and we're about to discuss the post-election conflicts and what is next. What is next for our beloved country, Nigeria? Where do we go from here? And we selected 5 wonderful panelists who to participate into this discussion and to profile a way forward for our beloved country, Nigeria. And these panelists are Dr. Frederick Oderige, is a military scientist and activist, and also the global coordinator of the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. And we have Honorable Kenneth Gandhi, the Peace and Research Conflict Resolution. And we'll have Honorable Collins Mweke, is a fellow of the Chartered Public Manager. Then we'll have Barrister Joseph M. Baggio, he's Secretary of the MBA Macaulay branch. And we'll have Honorable Patience Ndidi Key, the former chairman of NIDO USA. And as I said earlier, I am your moderator today. How we're going to go about the discussions, that each panelist will have a 15 minutes time allotted to you to discuss the current post-election conflict in Nigeria. And then that's your first half. And second half, you profile solution, what is next? And you can use up your whole 15 minutes, or you can finish early. And then I'll call upon the next panelist till all the panelists have had their 15 minutes. Then we'll go into the question and answer session. Okay. I hope this is clear. Is this clear?
Yes, it's all right.
All right. Now we're going to start with ladies first. Ladies first. So we're going to start with Honorable Patience Ndidi Key. So over to you, Honorable Patience. Can you unmute yourself, Honorable Patience?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I forgot that I muted. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day, everyone, wherever we are. It's always a great time to be in the midst of one another as Nigerians to discuss things that has to do with our country, and most importantly, prefer solution and implement the solutions. Thank you, the organizers of this event, for bringing us together for this great time. I want to say that there are just some things we remember ladies first, and in so many other things, we don't think it should be ladies first. So it should be ladies first in a lot of things, not just when we think it is. So just joking. Yeah, so a lot have happened and is happening in our country. We saw the election that we have waited for so many months. And on February 25th, the first election, the presidential and other aspects took place. And on March 18th, the election was concluded. And what's a nation that is futuristic, a nation that wants the best for the people, should always have at the back of their mind or want to implement is a credible election that is fair and free, election that speaks the mind of the people, election that enthrones the individuals that is, was voted by the people. But the case in our country has been, well, I say generational problem. It's for a while now since we said we're a democracy. We have not enjoyed the fruits or the dividends of democracy as a people and as an economy, whether we live outside Nigeria or we live in Nigeria. Every one of us have been affected in all that. For my own part, I will look at the crisis. What has been the crisis? What do we see as crisis? What do we know to be crisis in our nation? There's actually no meetings, conferences, seminars that needs to be taken care of or that needs to be held that Nigerians have not held. The thing now is after the events, the seminars, what next? What do we do? Especially for some of us who have led and still leading national and global organizations. There's nothing we're going to talk about here that have not been talked about. It will be very beneficial, both in our lives and in the lives of those of us, our brothers and sisters that live back home and our nation, for us to begin to see implementation in whatever we come to discuss. Post-election crisis. I have some things that I have listed out here. When I look at the post-election crisis in the country, I will say, these are the crises I see. The malpractices surrounding the elections and on all levels. Secondly, the rise of insecurity, because during the period or in the midst of the election, nobody was heard about Boko Haram or the abduction of people and all that. But immediately after the election, there's a rise again of insecurity. To me, it means that we know what to do. We know what we are doing as a people, and we allow it to happen. Thirdly, I would say the disrespect of human rights, the choice of the people, the mind of Nigerians are never put, into consideration what the people want, how the people want it, how the people want to implement it, what they went out in the field to do for the election, putting away their businesses, their families, even their lives, to make sure the leaders that they believe in come into play. So I would say the support from civil societies organizations. I was one of those who actually aspired for presidency in the 2023 election. And I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of people from all nook and cranny of Nigeria. And so many who say they are civil societies and all that. I just want to use this medium to advise that when you join an organization or you feature yourself as an activist, as a civil society person, do that for the benefit of the people, for the benefit of the nation. As blessed and rich as Nigeria is, if we come out in mass, if we come out as a united force to do good for the nation, there is no way that the benefits, the fruits of doing good will not touch each and every one of us. So one of those fueling the crisis are some who are in civil society organization. Fifth, tribal and religious influence. We'll see how this election went and how it has also continued to be. There's an article, I will call it, or a piece that was sent out, and somebody wrote that some people are not really angry, whoever becomes the leader or president or governor, as long as that person comes from their tribe, it comes from their religion, they don't have any problem with it, whether he's a criminal, whether he's a thief, whether he's a drug lord or whatever, as long as it's somebody that will bring, so there will be no problem. So tribal and religious influence. The sixth is the influence from Nigerians in diaspora and Nigerians in the homeland. And where my own soft spot is the Nigerians in the diaspora. Why did I say that? We live in countries that things are working well. We live in environments, in economies that the people work, at least for a greater degree, it's not perfect anywhere, for a greater degree to the benefit of their country and the benefit of the people. They believe in the Constitution. But when we come together as a society, as those living in the diaspora who have learned how others build economies, how economies are built, how things are done, when we gather as Nigerians, so many of us think of, if I don't benefit, I will not add value. We know how that goes, and it's very, very painful, because so many of us who are supporting, the tribal crisis, the religious crisis, supporting those, we know that they have no value to add to Nigeria, no integrity to rule that country. So many of us are in the diaspora, and that is sad for the country. Whatever affects that country affects all of us. The other is the Nigerian judiciary system. I also, when my own, after the primaries, We know what happened. It was marred with, manner of malpractices. And we decided to go to court. Someone, a judge started and went on vacation. And another lady judge came on board, intelligent, smart woman. And she was doing the case, boom, boom, boom. Things were working very fine. Sat for the first case, sat for the second one. When those who feel they have power came on board and like, okay, we don't think we're going to win despite all odds. All of a sudden, she was nowhere to be found. There was no reason for taking her out of that, of the equation. It's not as if the first judge had come back from his vacation. It's just because they said that, oh, this one is not going to do our bidding. And maybe she has refused to take bribe from any of them. She was removed abruptly. No announcement and all that. And we had to wait until the other judge who was there before came back. And as he came back, he said, oh, yes, I don't want to listen to anybody. Just give me your papers, all your documents. The next announcement you're going to hear is judgment. You gave judgment without listening to the lawyers, to their cases, or at least you did not follow the trail of your colleague, a judge, okay, who was taking care of the case while you were away. And of course, the history, the rest is history. We know how that case went about. So the judiciary system.
So the drain.
Before, we even decided, okay, we're going to appeal. In the midst of it, I just said, okay, yes, we want to appeal. We have sent the money they wanted, everything. I said, what's the need? I asked my lawyers. Mind you, through all this, we used 5 sets of lawyers. So that is where the judiciary system is just so bad in Nigeria. 5 sets of lawyers, we kept paying and paying. I asked my lawyers, I said, why do we even want to appeal? Yes, we already started, we filed the appeal and all that. Is it going to be the same judges? Or these judges, the appeal judges are going to be people that are different, people that will obey the law, people that will do the right thing. Because on our own part, we are not ready to bribe anybody. We are not ready to do what others do. We want justice. And we want judges, lawyers, the judiciary system that will do the right thing for their own integrity, for the integrity of the nation and the integrity of the people. And most importantly, integrity of the profession that they decided to be a part of. I didn't really get a good answer. In the midst of it, I just said, there's no need. Redraw the case. There's no need for the appeal. So, and I know that LP, PDP, and so many people are going to court for different reasons and all that. What is the judiciary system going to do? How are they going to come out? There have been different rumors. Oh, this person was in CJN was in Abuja, in London with this person. He was caught going here and all that. Why do we even have to go through all that? So the judiciary system in Nigeria is a big mess. The other one is the sealed lips of the government. I don't see anywhere that Mr. Buhari has come out to say, okay, enough is enough for all this. Although it has been his style. It has been, we say what we want to say, we do anything that it's not about the people. It's not about the economy. And some people still speak of his integrity, and I don't understand how else we can define integrity. If integrity does not mean seeing the right thing, doing the right thing, following justice, saying you will be a part of a credible election and make sure it is credible. Well, if you did not even come in through a credible election, I wonder what miracle is going to happen. And I see that this has been a trail in our country when we put in, or when we allow, dubious people to be our leaders in our fronts. Then they come back and say, oh, let's just manage it. Everything is going to be okay for the sake of the country, for the sake. No, If a foundation is broken, there is nothing you can build on a damaged foundation. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Nigeria cannot be good. Nigeria cannot be better. Nigeria cannot advance. We cannot advance the lives of our people. We cannot advance their properties. We cannot advance that economy until we do the right thing. It's a natural thing. It just has to be. When we continue to allow the dubious people and influence them, because the citizens, leadership comes in through citizens. Look at the likes of Dino.
Honorable Patience have 3 minutes to finalize your discussion, 3 more minutes.
Look at the likes of Dino and Keyamo, and so many of them, where are they today? Then again is the thoughts of interim government. Why should a nation have an interim government? How does Nigeria define interim government? A transitional government, an emergency government. The situation we have right now, does that warrant an interim government? What is the emergency? Why don't you do a rerun? If the people said this is not who they voted for, this is not what they want, the time you're going to use, if that is the truth, because, well, in every rumor, there is truth. And the solutions I think we should have. Nigerians need to wake up and become patriotic. I had an opportunity of leading a global organization. And I will tell you that I know how both Nigerians in the diaspora and back home think. And the thoughts of those of us in the diaspora is a big mess. We should begin to think patriotic. We should begin to love that nation. Being in NIDO or being in any organization that you think you're there to project the nation, especially an organization like NIDO, it's not to shake hands with the government, shake hands with those that be. It's to do work, because I understand national development as working, as advancing the life of the people, not standing only working with the government. We have industries, we have our businesses, we have both big and small. We have individuals of like minds that we can work with. Secondly, stop influencing evil, whether it benefits you or not. We need to form a formidable force of good citizens to salvage the country and advance the lives of the citizens and advance our economy. Fourthly, we need to join organizations like NIDO, instead of killing it and forming mushroom organizations and all that. Mind you, I'm no more the chairman, so I'm not saying this because, I want. Why am I saying this? We already have an organization that speaks globally, that speaks the mind of all Nigerians. Let's come together. You don't like the leader, work, do all that it takes. Remove the leader and put a right leader in NIDO, whether on the national level, on the state level, and all that, instead of us going to build different things that will continue to tear us apart. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful submission, Honorable Patience. So we're going to present the next panelist. In the person of Barrister Joseph Baggio, Secretary of MBA Macaulay Branch. You have the floor, sir. 15 minutes to give your submission. You can finish up before the 15 minutes if you so wish. Barrister Joseph, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What are you looking for? Is admin there? Me too.
Please, if you're not a panelist, Mute yourself, please.
Kí lẹ̀ ń ṣe tẹ́ ń gbáyé òtítọ́? Mo rí ẹ níbẹ̀.
Just call the name of
Ẹ
the
wo kò
individual
ṣọwọ́
that
báyìí
is
ṣé mi
talking in
rí
the
ẹ?
background to mute their
Gbogbo àwọn windows tẹ̀ ṣí
themselves.
sílẹ̀ ẹ lè tì. Go and close them.
Yeah, good day, my co-panelists, dear participants. It's 25 minutes past 6 here in Nigeria. And I'm speaking from Benue, Makudi precisely, the Benue state capital, north central Nigeria. Like the moderator did introduce me, I'm the secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, and I also serve as the secretary of the UN Women He for She Network here in Benue. I'm also a peace advocate, so I like to speak from that angle. And looking at the topic, 2023 election, talking of 2023 post-election crisis in Nigeria, what next? So for me, I like looking at issues from the historical perspective to the present perspective so that we can properly analyze or see into the future very well. So here is a country that for a very long time was under military rule, for a very long, more than a decade, 16 years, been under military rule. And we came back to democracy, and we expect that by now, things should have been better. So we've conducted 7 elections so far. Out of these 7 elections, well, the Freedom House has adjudged the Nigerian democracy as one with a sustainable potential. But what is the potential of sustainability, or what is the sustainability potential we are seeing given the current situation we have in the country at the moment? So here is an election where we had a total of 93 million registrants, or 93 million registered voters. And according to statistics from INEC, or statistics made available by INEC, had it that over 87 million people did collect their permanent voters card. At the end of the day, less than 30 million people voted. So we asked, what could be the reason? And even after the election, there are still a lot of issues arising therefrom. Some people are pointing, accusing finger and INEC and all of that. Yes, we cannot really blame those people, because this is an election that budgetary allocation was approved right in time. And the Electoral Act was signed in February 2022, giving INEC the ample opportunity to prepare. The Act gave INEC the powers. The Electoral Act clothed INEC with all the powers to conduct this election using technology. So we expected to see an election that will be seamless, an election that will be adjudged as one of the best, Unfortunately, what we saw, most especially during the presidential election, was really not what INEC actually promised us. I said it without any sense of bias because I was in the field as an electoral observer. I monitored the election. I served as an in-house analyst for the Nigerian Television Authority and some of the local in my, and I was opportune to share the screen. To share my thoughts with some of the INEC officials, and which they expressed their reservations, some of their concerns, some of the gaps, some of the flagships they observed in their own process. So INEC created a process that was without trust, raised people's hope, and at the end of the day, left those hopes to be dashed. So after the election, people became quite agitated, people became quite worried, and that is why we are seeing the situation we are having at the moment, where people are not convinced, people are dissatisfied because they feel their wishes was not well represented. Of course, because some of the promises INEC made were not actually fulfilled, most especially on the use of beavers and all of that. As some polling unit materials arrived late, some areas, materials did not even come at all, So this created a lot of distrust. And that is the problem we have with our electoral process as a country. Our public institution does not live up to expectation where the people would trust the institutions. And so that has been the problem we have. And up till now, should we be talking about issues of seamless processes where we have enough manpower to help INEC drive technology process in the country? But they won't just make use of that. Those human resource they have. And it's creating problem rather than solve the issue. So that is on one aspect. On the second aspects, the disposition of the government, the ruling government, also created some form of distrust because people felt that the statement of the president that he is not going to leave Nigeria was than a message. But unfortunately, what we are seeing is quite a different situation where, in spite of the abysmal performance, people were quite hopeful that the process of selection or nomination of leaders will be allowed to be a free and fair process. But at the end of the day, the style of politics we have, which is the money politics, ended up playing out. And this again created a lot of problems. Now we are in this kind of situation, we are in this kind of mess that we are into. However, as a people, as patriotic Nigerians, we cannot call for heads to roll. We cannot call for breakdown of law and order. We cannot call for violence. However, we'll continue to advocate that for us to have a post-election, a free, fair election or a post-violence-free election, where at the end of our elections, everybody will be happy, will be celebrating. Then INEC as an institution must put themselves in a position that the people can trust them. They will say things and live up to those things they are saying. They will put up policies and work in line with those policies. They will come up with technology and live up to those technology. And where they have failed, they should be honest enough to say that we have failed Nigerians. And not just to simply tell people to go to court. Yes, it's right to say that, but what are you doing? So we need a post-mortem analysis of this election. One, this is an election that we have a high number of registrants. We have had a low number of voters turnout. That's to show that there is something wrong with the system. And what is that? The failure in the trust system between the people and government institution. That is a very major problem. And that is why we are seeing this situation we are seeing currently now. You know, so you see arrogance manifesting, people who feel they are in power now for a share of their own national cake and all of that. You know, so irrespective of who else is affecting, irrespective of whether or not there are flagships or there are gaps in the processes adopted or used by INEC, they don't just want to know, provided their candidate has emerged. And this is not good for us as a country. This is not healthy for us as a democratic society. There should be a democracy where the wishes of the people will prevail by a way of creating that trust system. And once that trust system is there, we'll not see any election. People will not see the need of going to court when they lose election. People will not see the need of taking to crisis, to violence once they lose election, because they would know that your processes are trustworthy, they are transparent, and as an institution, you are also accountable to them. Once we pass through all of this, and it is not just INEC alone.
Barrister Joseph, you have 3 minutes to wrap up your submission. 3 minutes.
All the stakeholders involved in election are all guilty of this. And until we tell ourselves the honest truth that this system we are using is not trusted by the people, and how do we make amends so that going forward, when we have elections, people will rather be celebrating than wanting to take to crisis. We don't want a crisis situation. We want a peaceful society. And we can only achieve peace where there is transparency, there is accountability, and there is trustworthiness in all our dealings, most especially as it relates to government institutions.
Thank you very much, Barrister Joseph Bagio, for that wonderful submission. I think we'll move on to the next panelist. And I hope the audience are jotting down their question from this wonderful submissions so that you can ask your question when we open up the floor for the audience to ask questions, okay? Please jot your questions, write them down, because you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to ask questions to this brilliant, wonderful panelists that we have on this session today. The next panelist is Honorable Collins Mweke. Over to you, Honorable Collins. You have 15 minutes to render your submission.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start by thanking Frederick for putting this up. Somehow we are getting very used to this kind of project or event being put up by Frederick. So thank you so very much. I also want to thank my co-panelists for making the time to be part of this crucial event. My intervention will be structured in three major parts. And I will try to keep it as short and as punchy as possible, eliminating points that have already been made, just so that we kind of move forward speedily. I want to look at the pre-election period, the election itself, and then the post-election. Now, the reason I want to do this is because a good doctor treats on the basis of a good diagnosis. And so I do not think that we will be doing justice to where we go from here if we do not know precisely where we are coming from and the events that shaped the journey to where we are now. So how did we get here? And that is the key question around the pre-election activities that I want to talk about. Now, I believe that there were sufficient signs that the 2023 election was heading in the wrong direction. And that was after hope for a free and fair election was raised with the Electoral Act that was amended. I mean, if you ask somebody like Ken Bundy, whom I have always praised for his bravery, I told him, he did what I possibly couldn't do. Somebody like Patience Key as well. These are fellow diasporans who felt that they've had enough of the talking. They want to face, the electorate, heads on, sell their case, and then get them to vote for them. Some of us continue to hesitate. And the reason we hesitated and still hesitate was the fact that elections have never been shown to matter in Nigeria. They have always been, it is like the system, the electoral system, is actually set up to fail. Not in writing. Theoretically, of course, it is like any other, electoral system anywhere in the world, but the implementation of the process of the policy actually is, grossly found wanting. And there were no very, tangible or visible signs that it was going to change until the amendment. We saw all the arguments around electronic transfer of votes and the rest of them that eventually, got passed. So it gave a ray of hope. And when people like Ken Bundy looks me straight in the eyes and say, well, I told you, that there was hope. We didn't have any, people like me didn't have anything to respond other than to say, yes, you were right, but let's see how it pans out. It didn't pan out very well, because take one specific example, one instance, as a case in point, and I'm going to leave it at that for want of time, which is the primaries. We saw how blazingly the two traditional political parties in Nigeria conducted their primaries. That was a huge embarrassment for the country, where without any due consideration for the law, votes were being bought. People, actually won the primaries on the basis of the depth of their pockets. And that was happening in broad daylight, and there was not a single consequence. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and so I wouldn't begin to tell you what ought to have happened, in terms of using the instrumentality of the law to actually ensure that such malpractices, such crimes, as a matter of fact, didn't happen. And when it did happen, what ought to have happened to actually address it and indeed nullify those primaries. So I wouldn't know what the processes are, but I can only tell you as a layman that it will surprise me if the laws in Nigeria have not made provisions for such practices to have been averted in the first place, and if not averted, at least countered when it happened and actually nullified those primaries. So we had a pre-taste of what was happening, of what was going to come, because the level of, I would say, desperation was palpable. We could see that, from the primaries and then going into the electioneering itself. Now, the usual practice of demonize to divide was actually, heightened in a manner, in a proportion that Nigeria had never seen before in this 2023 elections, where nationality, tribe, and all manners of, nonsense were actually being spewed, and not much on the programs, on what the people, what the candidates were going to do, except of course, one or two isolated instances of candidates that actually concentrated on the subject proper, on election programs. So I gave these two examples simply to underline the point that we had a pre-taste of what was going to come at the election itself, and not very much happened to counter those. Now, another point of vital importance to mention in the area of pre-election era is indeed the interest, the heightened interest, and the increased, voter or electorate participation in the election. We saw that in the figures that INEC churned out. 90 million registered, 87 managed to collect the PVC, and in that context, we also saw how young people, got energized and showed signs of actually ready to take back their country. That became a slogan. Now, we have been told as well, and I am gradually now moving into the second aspect of my intervention, which is the election proper. We have been told that out of the 87 million that collected the PVC, of which young people of Nigeria were in the majority, absolute majority as a matter of fact, that only 30 actually turned out to vote. Okay, that might be a fact, but let us ask ourselves on the basis of what some of us witnessed. We had delegations from the diaspora that, went as election observers. Some of my friends from out here at the European Commission were part of the observer groups as well. So we got feedback. I mean, quite apart from the things that we witnessed, happening live, there were clear evidence of intimidation. Now that you have 30 million who actually turned out to vote, can you really truly say that that was actually the number of people, and we are talking of 87 million that collected their PVCs, which means that they were interested and they were prepared to come out and vote. And let us not forget how much trouble people take to get their PVCs in Nigeria. It took some people weeks, day after day, lining up, getting up early and so on and so forth. And then collection became an issue as well in terms of how long you have to spend to get your PVC collected. Would you tell me that somebody would take all of this trouble and all for nothing? No, I don't believe so. I'm sorry. So, as a matter of fact, the level of voter intimidation, which was deliberate, happening in broad daylight, the police actually acting as if they were helpless, these were bits and pieces of issues that bordered on voter intimidation. I mean, the rest of it in terms of, election not taking place in some places, materials arriving late, which disencouraged a number of people, and so, they gave up. These are all bits and pieces of, indications of how much this election was flawed. The outcome is very, very seriously questionable because all of the things surrounding them, can really not, be considered to have been free. Neither were they fair nor credible. That brings me to the third aspect of my intervention, which is the post-election. Now, people have gone to the tribunal to, send in their petition to contest the outcome of the election. On the one hand, that is a very good thing. But on the other hand, it is a bad thing that the courts have got to actually adjudicate on who becomes the leader of Nigeria. That ought to be the exclusive reserve of the people of Nigeria through their vote. And so it is a
Honorable Collins, Mweke, you have 3 minutes to round up your submission. 3 minutes.
It is a shame that the courts have to step in, but of course, the alternative is worse. It is worse because challenging the outcome of the election through the petition is lawful. It is civil. That is the most civilized way to go about it. No wonder, the likes of Festus Keyamo, SAN, answered the question of why do you tell people go to court? He said, where else do you expect them to go? Fist fight? I agree with that. So indeed, it is a good thing. The question we heard Honorable Patience Key talk about her experience, within the judiciary. But I have one very critical point to make there. When we assess the performances of the courts in Nigeria, the judges, let us also remember that there have been isolated cases in recent times of judges ruling in the manner that they are expected to rule based on the evidence before them. I believe that every good meaning, every citizen of Nigeria, what they ought to do now is, in whichever way, they should support the process of adjudicating the matter through the election tribunal, and let us, give the courts the benefit of the doubt and the support that they will do what they are meant to do. Thank you.
Moderator.
Are you giving me extra time, moderator?
Thank you very much, Honorable Collins Mweke, for that wonderful submission. So far, we've had 3 of the 5 panelists have given their 15-minute submissions. So once again, I remind the audience, take this minute to keep writing, sending your questions using the comment section in the link, sending your question, because at the end, yes. So by the end, when the next 2 panelists finish their submissions, then we'll enter the questions from the audience for the panelists, okay? So please keep sending those questions. I will greatly appreciate that. Our next panelist to speak is Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. You have the floor, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. 15 minutes, please.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, and the organizers, my very good friend, Frederick, for having me on the program. It's my pleasure to share the forum with fellow compatriots, both at home and in the diaspora, especially my diaspora compatriots like my senior brother, Collins Mweke, who is also my distinguished continental chairman, Europe Emeritus. It's always very difficult, I keep saying, I keep complaining, speaking after Collins Mweke, because he has actually been my mentor, both at the European level and being my ex-chairman emeritus. So I actually spoke most of my mind in this intervention, but I'll try as much as possible, in spite of that, also, bring in my own perspective to that. Apart from being a peace and conflict mediation expert, like the moderator actually said, I was also the longest serving Continental Nido Europe chairman, representing over 6 million Nigerians in diaspora. The first Nigerian also in the Hamburg Senate Foreigners Council in the city of Hamburg, Germany, and also the national deputy chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. This is also in addition to being the senatorial candidate for the 2023 general election to represent the good people of Delta North in Delta states, to be precise. Well, I would not want to talk about the 2023 election without actually thanking the Almighty God for his mercy and protection all through the campaign, without any major incidents, no kidnapping, no security issues. And also I want to thank my family and the campaign organization and friends, both at home and in diaspora, for their support. Well, like my distinguished chairman emeritus and my mentor, Collins Mweke, also mentioned, it will not be easy to talk about election, post-election, solution to Nigeria without talking about the pre-issues running up to the election. And so to be able to put a perspective on the current post-election conflict in Nigeria, one needs to understand the pre-election expectations and what's transpired during the election. It is a common knowledge now that I ran for the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the African Democratic Congress, after going through the hectic primaries and also scaling through the primaries. I joined many patriotic Nigerians to partake in the 2023 election for just one major reason. It was keeping the hope alive. We're hopeful that we can finally build a new Nigeria that value, when we have a value, that add value to competent people who wants to lead the country over mediocrity. A new Nigeria that is just and fair and giving equal opportunity to all, irrelevant of background and connection one has at the top. That was what motivated most of us. But also the key factors why most people, like my humble self, joined the race is that it was hinged on the fact that after many struggles, both from Nigerians at home and Nigerians in the diaspora, to lobby for electoral reforms, it finally came to pass that we have electoral reforms that is going to be supported by technology, or technology-driven, so to say. And that is, we have a process that will enable a voting process based on electronic verification process, BVA, and the real-time transmission of results from the polling units that will improve electoral credibility, eliminate rigging, ballot snatching, and ensure that people's votes are finally counted. These are part of the motivation that actually pulled people like us out of our comfort zone. Yes, Collins Mweke was right. When we were discussing about the, whether to run or not to run, they were the opinion that election in Nigeria is actually designed to fail. But we're actually hoping that with the new technology-supported program, that this will finally be a new chapter in Nigeria. Unfortunately, people like Collins Nweke proved us right, and the election, came to end the way it did, to the almost the disgrace of everybody and the disappointment of everybody, who stepped forward for this contest. Well, like I said, the primary motivation for me, and I guess most diaspora and Nigerians to join the race, was hoping that a level playing field will be provided. But unfortunately, like I said, INEC failed to live up to his own very standard, his own very rules and regulations. They failed to meet it. They promised too much, too much, and they failed dramatically. There's no doubt about that. The election 2023 was not only characterized by a new form of rigging. Before, what we used to hear is that we have ballot snatching and the rest of them, but we saw a new form of rigging where numbers are swapped, where a political party will score XYZ number and it is swapped to a different political party, knowing that they will keep the same number of total voting and accreditation with the new electoral law, which to some extent was a good step in the right direction, but badly and totally horribly implemented. So they have a new form of rigging where we have number swapping, which is going to be a new terminology in Nigerian electoral matters these days. They swap the numbers to whatever suits them. Of course, the ballot snatching, which we thought with the beavers would be a thing of the past, was seen massively in some areas. Of course, we see a massive intimidation that we've never seen before in Nigerian election, where even uniform personnel are supporting the snatching of ballot boxes, as could be seen on social media and all over the place. So the electoral 2023 cannot be termed to be free and fair by all standards. It's also a common knowledge that the almighty beavers and the electoral submission results from polling units, branded by INEC as a game changer, was not adhered to. And so again, that's summarized exactly all the things I've just listed, while most people are disappointed with the 2020 election. Well, it's also on these inconsistencies that resulted in the major opposition political parties, including my party, African Democratic Congress, is based on that we are now challenging the outcome of the results of the presidential and national election in the court. And I think Collins Nweke also mentioned that, that as a true Democrat, as a party leader holding the position of national deputy chairman of my great party, I will wait for the outcome of these legal challenges before I could make my definite statement on the senatorial election in Delta North. But meanwhile, I'll be joining many Nigerians to pass a total vote of no confidence on the chairman of the National Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Mohammed Yakub, because like I said, he promised Nigerians so much. With about 305 billion naira, he could not conduct a free and fair election by all standards. The question is, what next? I will use the remaining minutes I have. I think I have 7 minutes to, just to go through a bullets format process of what I think we should do. For me, the very first step is to see justice through the court of law. And I'm very happy, like I said, that the major political parties, including an ADC, are now challenging the result in court. And I think we need to wait as Democrats to wait for the outcome of that result. 2, I will encourage us Nigerians to do everything within their limit and within the limit of law. I will emphasize within the limit of law to make sure that the judicial process is not compromised. We should not give them the excuse to harass and kill innocent citizens by just going to the street indiscriminately, but we should use every legal means we have to make sure that we hold these people accountable and to make sure that the right thing is done. Nigerians with conscience, like what we've seen in Abia State and across the Federation, that are resisting any attempt to compromise them, should be commended in the first place. And those that are still undecided and wish to volunteer and point out more irregularities should be encouraged to come up forward and be vocal and give the account of what they have known. With sure citizen pressures, of course, like I said, within the limit of the law, we'll be able to hold those in authority accountable for their actions or inactions. And I'm sure that anybody that loves this country will want to do the right thing, because anything contrary will not be good for Nigeria. On this, and like most of the points I've also mentioned above, I will be suggesting in a kind of a summary the following point. Irrespective of the outcome of the electoral challenge, that is hoping and believing that the judiciary should do the right thing and the vote of the people should count. I should expect a very strong unity government of competent Nigerians with a very specific time frame to initiate without delay constitutional reforms. If constitutional reform is taken into the consideration as the first thing that this government needs to do, all the problems that the speakers before me have actually mentioned will be taken into consideration, like initiating electoral reforms, security sector reforms, electoral reforms that where we have a process that is not being trusted by the people, like Honorable Collins Nweke also said, will be taken care of. The judicial reforms, like Patience K have also mentioned, will be taken into consideration. We should have a unity government that takes into consideration that the country needs to be reset. The country needs to be put on a good footing where merit rather than mediocrity will thrive. A country where manipulation and putting the round square in a square holes should be avoided. And lastly, we have a unity government that will take huge account of the financial, human, and political capital of over 20 million Nigerians in diaspora into consideration. When we said electoral reforms, I think Mr. Nweke actually did justice to that, so I don't need to also say much about that. Judicial reforms, I think Patience K also mentioned, give a very typical example. Talk about the security system reform. We saw the activities of some of the personnel, especially the police, what they did during the election. If we have a security sector reforms, where we have commissioners of police from a state, from an indigenous of a state where election is taking place, they know him, they know his parents, they know his fathers, he knows also the security challenges of the areas, he knows the troublemakers. He is in a position to make sure that before election, such issues are taken into consideration. Such people are actually put on notice, put on an alert, and make sure they cannot do anything contrary to the law. These are things that the security reforms can also bring us. And we also see that the security of also voters, where people are prevented from going out to perform their civic responsibilities, encouraged by some uniformed men, unfortunately, should be taken care of. We should have a very robust security reforms under a national government that takes those things into consideration. And so these are the things we should be looking at as Nigerians. And like also the speaker before me said, nobody wants to see a disintegrated Nigeria. It's not going to be in anybody's interest. So we need a country that works, both politically and otherwise. As I round up, I'll give another example that will bring us to mind. We saw a case in Lagos, in Magodo, where the governor of Lagos went to settle a residence issue in Magodo, Lagos. And a junior officer,
Kenneth Gandhi, you have 3 minutes to round up your submission, 3 more minutes.
I'm sure within 3 minutes, I will finish my last example. The governor went to Magodo in Ikeja to settle a case. And a junior officer was telling the governor, who is supposed to be the chief security officer of the state, that he cannot take orders from him, but from Abuja. And you know what that means. If you call somebody the chief security officer of a place and he cannot give orders to security people, but to take an order from Abuja. I think the same thing also happened in our electoral system. Like we have a situation in Abia State where our electoral chairman is alleged to have given pressure and directive to do things that is not actually in line with the INEC constitution. So I think by the time we begin to look, to hope that after 29th of May, that the judicial should do the right thing and the vote of people will cast will be counted, I'll see a new Nigeria coming up from there. And I will say that irrespective of what happened, the 2023 election has set a precedent and Nigeria cannot be the same any longer, irrespective of whatever results the judiciary are going to have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi, for that wonderful submission. I can see people are bringing in their questions in the comment section. Thank you very much for sending in those questions. By the way, if you have specific question that you want a specific panelist to answer, you can say you want this panelist to answer that question. Any question that has no specific designation to any panelist, then I will have all panelists answer those questions when it's time for panelists to answer questions. Now we are moving on to the next and final panelist, the coordinator, the global coordinator. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. And I also thank my fellow panelists. I especially note what Patience said when she was initially introduced, that women's first or ladies first. She said that, oh, in some situations we used to say ladies first. But the truth is that it's not funny because among the 29 newly elected members of the Delta State House of Assembly where I come from, just 2 are women, just 2. And at the Senate level, where we have 109 senators elected, we have just 3 in the whole of the country. It's a shame. Well, on that note, I would like to give a short presentation about the issue at stake. My point about the election, that the sham election that just took place in Nigeria, is that this is the second coup of retired General Muhammadu Buhari against the Nigerian people. The first one was in 1983. This is the second one in an attempt to install the 16th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, why did I start like this? During campaigns, the president told Nigerians in different campaign rallies that I will hand over to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was so categorical about it. Who does that? On election day, as if to say, I told you people, this is the way to go. He publicly displayed his ballot paper for people to see that he voted for Bola Tinubu. Where is that done? So you will see that before the election, there was already a selection. Nigerians were so frustrated. They started by frustrating Nigerians from collecting their PVCs. 7 million Nigerians were disenfranchised because after their registration on internet, they were not given the opportunity to complete their registration through physical registration. But lo and behold, they were picking children from the streets in northern Nigeria. They registered them on the internet, took them for physical registration, and on election day, we saw them voting. And shamefully, the commissioner of police in Kano State, when he was being asked by journalists why children were voting, he said, we cannot tell exactly who are children because of their gene and all those kind of stories. Now, when it was time for election, we could just see the manifestation of the coup. They gave the trigger to Mahmoud Yakubu, national chairman of INEC, to pull the trigger at a particular time. And when did he pull the trigger? On the day of the election. That was when he made sure that the Beavers machine and the IRF did not work. The same person that went to Chatham House to tell the world that he was ready, that there was no alternative to Beavers machine. But on that day, of all days, after 4 years preparation, after over 30 billion naira, he's now telling us that so-called Beavers did not work. Why? It was the actualization of the coup. Then he made sure that when men slept at about 4 a.m., he announced the result. The coup, the result of the political coup. So all of these things, anybody can see that the election was just to show to the world, let them see that we organized an election, we're passing through a democratic process and all of that. They made sure that before election, we could see vehicles mobilizing police officers that were going to secure the election ground and all of those At the end of the day, on election day, we saw police officers unarmed being chased away by thugs. It was part of the coup. We saw police officers printing, stealing ballot boxes in uniform. It was part of the coup. At gunpoint, we saw police officers carrying ballot boxes and driving away with so much impunity. That was part of the coup. So all of these things happened because Buhari wanted to happen. He already told us that he was going to hand over power to Tinubu. So these are people that put political party above the country for their selfish reasons. And immediately after that, when the agitations about the elections were going on, what did Shehu Gaba say, the spokesperson to Buhari? He said that the announcement, the result of the election, the presidential election, holds according to the presidency. Who is the presidency? Is the presidency now the Supreme Court? You know, anytime they want to make a statement against the Nigerian people, Shehu Gaba comes out and he says the presidency said, even when Buhari is not even aware that he said that he said. So they always say the presidency, as if when you say presidency, you have put a stamp on it and nobody can say anything again. As if Shehu Gaba is now the Chief Justice of Nigeria. So the audacity with which he said what he said further tells you that all of these things are prearranged. Suddenly we are now hear DSS saying that, oh, some people are not planning interim government. Come on. How does an interim government come into force? Is it 20, 50 people or 4 people tweeting in a room? They will just come out and say, today we have an interim government. This is the name of the chairman of the interim government. Is that how? Does interim government come by people coming together to talk? No. Interim government is announced by the president or somebody like that. So you cannot say we, the people, are planning interim government. And the big question is, where was DSS when the beavers was being attacked? Where was DSS? Where have they been? Talking about interim government, we've been experiencing, this is not the first time we've been experiencing interim government in Nigeria, apart from what we experienced during the military time, when Abdul Salam and all of that came on board, Ernest Shonekon came on board. We've been experiencing interim government under Buhari. Many Nigerians don't know this. Buhari has spent 237 days outside Nigeria for medical care. In many of those occasions, he did not hand over power to the vice president, which means Buhari will be in London. He's not in office, but he's in power. But the power is empty because there's nobody there. That is an interim government. Because the president is not on ground and nobody is in charge. That is an interim government. So this is not the first time that we are experiencing interim government. You know, the other time that Buhari traveled to UK, where he spent 81 days, right? He spent 81 days after he came from the UK. Why? Shehu Gaba, the same Shehu Gaba said that because of rats, rodents, that rats pursued Mr. President out of office. Because of that, Buhari spent 81 days in his house working as a president. But do you know that if it took 81 days for them to renovate the president's office because of rats, the election result was announced on the 1st of March, that's this presidential election. By 29th of March, they have announced to Nigerians that they have decorated and prepared the office for Tinubu, which means it took them 29 days to prepare Aso Rock for Tinubu, but it took them 81 days to prepare the office for Buhari when rats took over. You know why? It is because all of these things have been arranged. They have all been arranged. It's a coup against the Nigerian people. So what do we do at this point in time? If Nigerians decide to protest, it is the responsibility of the police, of security agencies to protect Nigerians. They're already protesting in the US, protesting in the UK. You cannot beat a child and you tell the child not to cry. Nigeria should be free to protest while we wait for the court processes to continue. when you talk about interim government, the interim government that people are talking about now is a consequence of the failed constitution. Nigerians have been calling for a brand new constitution. Why did the government not listen? When the government does not listen, that is why you get what we have today. It's a consequence of a government that does not listen to the people. If we had a brand new constitution, there are many issues that would have been addressed in the constitution. But the government just came up with amendment, spent so much money to amend the constitution. At the end of the day, what came out of it? Nothing. Nigerians are saying, give us a brand new constitution. So at this point, the question is, what next? If Nigerians choose to protest, in answer to what next, Nigerians should protest. It's our right to protest. We're talking about our country, not some personal belongings of Buhari or the Sheugabas or the Femi Fani-Kayodes or the Festus Keyamo. And just because I mentioned these ones, you know, yesterday, because there are new forms of propaganda that are not coming up. Yesterday, a young man was arrested in the flight between Abuja and Lagos. They said that he was shouting, do not inaugurate Tinubu. And as they were pulling him out, he was shouting, obedience, are you seeing me? Obedience, are you seeing me? I am telling Nigerians that was another part, is part of the coup. That, you know, this was they hire fake bishops the other time, you know, APC government. Now, they are not hiring people, they are not hiring some miscreants to give false impression about the obedience. You see, when they were pulling the guy out of the plane, he was saying, obedience, are you seeing me? Obedience. So he was emphasizing obedience because that is the script of his sponsors. So don't just look at that their video because they planned it. Just, you know, they say you give a dog a bad name in order to hang it. They are trying to give the obedient movement in false image. And we all know all of this. And Nigerians will be ready because more drama will come. They will do more drama, more propaganda, because it is their stock in trade. But we are not going to accept that. We are not as stupid as they wish us to be. Now, way forward, we need to go back to the Nigerian Constitution. First, the 10th National Assembly, they have a lot of work to do because they must learn from what we're experiencing in Nigeria today. First and foremost, Mahmoud Yakubu, the chairman of INEC, must step aside. The case is in court. Having him there might affect the evidence that we need.
There we go. You have 3 minutes to wrap up your submission.
Fine. Now, Yakubu should step aside. 2, police should protect protesters. 3, we need a law that permits Nigerians in diaspora to vote as from 2027. We need a law that takes power from the president to appoint INEC chairman, police IG, chief of army staff, and the attorney general of the federation. Let the organizations or the institutions within these offices produce their nominate their person for approval by the Senate. The president has too much power, and that is what we are suffering today in Nigeria. Then we must remove power from the governors to appoint their kings. Council of Chiefs or kingmakers should be appointed their kings, giving a staff of office where a Nyesom Wike can be abusing and insulting traditional rulers is wrong. Because during elections, these same traditional rulers, they take orders from governors and they compromise the customs of the people. And we must have a law that makes it mandated that after every election, you must not swear somebody into office when the person's case is in court. 60 days should be enough for the judge to decide. Then let us know if that person can go into office or not. You vote somebody that did not win an election, he goes into office and starts to use the apparatuses of the state and the resources of the state to fight his opposition. No. That is why somewhere like Tinubu, the case ought to be concluded before you talk of voting of swearing in. So that is a very technical point that the 10th National Assembly must look at. And we need a court order compelling INEC to give detailed account of how they spend the money for the 2013 election, including what they received from international donors. Because what they did was pocketing money. And I warn Nigerians in advance, The National Population Commission are coming to do their so-called census. That is another way to steal the money of the people, because they are budgeted $1.8 billion. And that is another way for them to do their takeaway from a country that is borrowing to pay its debts. Finally, I would like to say that Nigerians must take it seriously. Nigerians in diaspora, every NGO, let us be coming together to make strong statements and be writing our petitions together as a people. For example, the chairman of Adavi local government, Mr. Joseph Salami, who was caught tearing ballot papers inside the ballot box in the process of an election, that man should be in prison by now. So these are just some of the points that I would like to discuss for now. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, please.
All right, thank you very much for that wonderful submission. Round of applause to all the panelists. You guys have done an amazing job giving brilliant. I appreciate you guys. I will thank you guys once again after we finish the question and answer session. All the panelists have been taking break and while waiting for the question, please. I hope you are awake. I hope you are alert to answer all the various questions. I will take them one by one. And if you still have questions, the audience, you can still send them, okay? Send your questions. And for after reading the questions, I can allow maybe 3 people that want to voice out their question to do so. Okay. So let's read the questions first before we allow people to voice their questions. For those that want to do that. Greetings, everyone. Okay. This is from Citizen Omusa. Say, does anyone have a proof that the CJN met with? So does anyone have a proof that the CJN met with Bola Ahmed Tinubu in London? We were shown a picture allegedly of the CJN in London, but Bola Ahmed was not. But Bola Ahmed was not in London. So, but and was not in the picture. So later we were shown a picture of the CJN on Friday prayer when he was meant to be in London. Which of the pictures is authentic and what is the correct position? And he specifically said the above question goes to the first speaker, which is Honorable Patience Ndidi. So, Honorable Patience, I think that question is for you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Question and one.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Moderator, and the one who asked the question. I would say that's a political question. Of course, we didn't see them sitting together. In every rumor, there's an iota of truth. The worst things have happened in Nigeria. So it's not the issue of whether CGN was seen sitting with Tinubu and all that. We know all that was said. Oh, he was on his way, and due to what Nigerians are saying, he ran back and all that. You know, again, worst things have happened in Nigeria. So what good citizens should be, you know, saying, like I said, that's a political question or statement and all that. What good Nigerians should be all about is how can, you know, the lives of Nigeria and our economy be advanced. You know, we have had worse things happen, you know, in that country. It doesn't matter whether CJN is your brother or your friend, or from your Tinubu is your from your tribe and all that. It's Nigeria good the way it is, you know. So we're here to resolve issues. So that's what the people are saying. That is what the people saw. And again, what things have happened, you know. So we should always be thinking, how do we advance our lives? How do we advance the country and the economy? Yeah, we might not see them sitting, but worse things have happened. So let's begin to think solutions and work together as a united force to see our country where it needs to be. You know, let's be good influencers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Patience. I like how you responded to that question in just 1 minute. So please, all panelists, try to keep answers to your question 1 minute so that we can go through a lot of questions, okay? 1 minute response. Thank you very much once again, Honorable Patience. And I hope Citizen Omusa, I hope that will address your question well. And then the next question, also from, I believe, Citizen Omusa, said, what's the view of the panelists on the Naira redesign implementation? Did it help curb election cash inducements? So I guess this question is for all the panelists. So I'll go in order. So I guess the order that you guys gave your speech. So which is ladies first again. Honorable Patience, over to you. What do you think about that question?
Well, that was a catastrophe. If all we saw, according to Nigerians, I'm not in Nigeria at the moment. I didn't get to see the Naira. I was already out before, you know, it was in existence. But what we hear is that it was just color and all that. So it's a shame. It continues to be, you know, disrespect for the people and disrespect for our economy, and deepens us into inflation. So it was a disgrace. It cost a lot of lives. It cost a lot of families, their lives, their finances. It cost, you know, added to the suffering and the poverty, you know, situation of the people. We saw many men and women in the banking hall go naked. You know, we had people who died because they could not pay their bills in the hospital, both those close to us and those we saw on social media and all that. So it was a big sham. It wasn't that's not the period, you know, for us to think of redesigning the Naira. And if we wanted to redesign the Naira, there are structures to follow, there are strategies to follow and all that. But because, you know, we are used to, you know, doing things our own way or the highway, which we really need to stop by coming together as a united force and fixing our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The same question goes to Barrister Joseph Tengio. Bagio, sorry.
For me, I look at things from a very different perspective. And I know that for this country to move forward, until we tell ourselves the obvious truth, a lot of things are happening in the country which are not quite normal. But at the same time, we must also look at our own challenges as a people. So I think we have come to that point where much as we are passionate, much as we are expressing deep concerns from the unfortunate issues that we're experiencing in the country, we also must be advocates of change from our own selves. So that's the way I look at things. And I think going forward, we should, as a matter of fact, be more proactive than reactive as a people. That's the way I look at it. By probing, by engaging in conversations like this, not until when it's election time.
All right. Thank you very much, Barrister. The next is Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Oh, sorry, Honorable Collins. Sorry, Honorable Collins. Okay, the same question goes to you about the design of the Naira.
Thank you. I believe that the question was, in relation to Naira redesign, whether specifically it helps to curb, cash inducement. And I like to leave out, every peripheral aspect of the Naira redesign and address the core question of cash inducement. There are two ways of looking at it. Way number one is how much cash inducement was an issue in this particular election. Now, unlike previous elections, we saw a very large number of young people who were initially, written off as, social media warriors that were non-existent and all of that. We saw how they were using their own money to fund their pre-election activities, their electioneering, and so on and so forth. So that was a sign already, a strong indication that they were now ready to give up that cash inducement that used to be the order of the day in the past. Now, was it eliminated entirely in this particular election? Certainly not. And that brings me to the second aspect, which is the redesign and its objective, its declared objective of using it to actually tackle the issue of cash, using cash inducement for electioneering purposes. I am not sure. The reason I say I'm not sure are two. Number one, when the primaries were on, we didn't see much Naira change hands. What the politicians who participated in the atrocities that we saw, what they used was United States dollars. There was also the report of a lady that was arrested, I believe, in River State. It wasn't Naira exclusively that she was carrying. The cash that she was carrying for, purpose of cash inducement, as alleged, were a mixture of a small amount of Naira, but also United States dollar. So, to that extent, I think it is reasonable to assert that the Naira redesign meant to eliminate cash inducement actually missed its target. But was it entirely a useless exercise? No, I don't think so, because I believe that to some extent, it must have
wrap up in 15 seconds. Your response. Thank you very much. Thank you. The same question goes to you, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi.
Well, I will try to keep it also very short, like the barrister. I'm not a financial expert, but the fact that I was in Nigeria during the election, and I know that Nigeria went through hell, where you have to use money to buy money. So I think the timing, whether it's right or wrong, is totally not the right time to do that. That's number one. Number two, the law of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria have actually reversed that implementation and extended the legal tender of the Naira till next year, if I'm not mistaken. If the Court of Competent Jurisdiction have said that they did not implement it very well, then it means it was not well implemented, period. That's how I will say it. The last one, whether it helped reinducement, the answer is absolutely no. I think Honorable Collins Mweke gave a very good example that Naira was not circulating in Nigeria. What was circulating in Nigeria was dollar for the political parties. How they get that money, I don't know. But the most important thing is that while Naira was not exchanging hands, what we called money transfer was exchanging hand. People were getting their account numbers and money was debited into their account. So for me, it did not achieve anything. It only had Nigerians, getting into suffering and making things difficult for people who are using their money to buy money. Before I left Nigeria just a few days ago, if you have to withdraw 20,000 Naira, you have to pay 5,000 as a withdrawal charge or withdrawal charges. So for me, as a Naira redesign and implementation, if you ask me if it has helped Nigeria move forward one bit, the answer is totally no. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that response, Honorable Gandhi. Over to you, Dr. Frederick, same question.
Well, you know that before the issue of this Naira came out, the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, went to Aso Rock and presented the new Naira notes to Buhari. So we are expecting that these notes will be everywhere for the use of for the use of every Nigerian. So if he was not ready to print, if the new notes were not ready, why the hurry to do this media stunt going to Mr. President to present the notes? Now, if the idea of withdrawing old currency was to avoid vote buying, that idea would have been a very good one. If we had enough new notes coming in, because many people died. A passenger was stabbed to death in Lagos by the conductor because he gave old 500 Naira notes. In fact, at this point, CBN should collect all the tragedies we recorded during that period and begin to compensate Nigerians that suffered for their misgovernance. So the idea would have been a good one, but the governors used the courts to turn the situation around so that during the election, old notes were permitted by the Supreme Court. So the whole intervention was defeated. And the simple reason is because Emefiele did not print out new notes immediately after he presented them to the president. So another thing I want to say is that if Nigerians in diaspora had voted, the issue of old or new Naira notes would not have come in, because we would not have been induced with their kuli or their 5,000 urgent 5,000 Naira. So these are some of the issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from Rachel Osazua. It said, my question is, when a case is in court, are we supposed to put in an interim government? So she's not specifying any of the panelists, so I'll allow, please keep it short. I will start with Honorable Patience again. Are we supposed to put an interim government while the case is in court?
Yeah, I don't think so. I believe that the right thing should have been done. If there's a kid in course, I don't know what the constitution and all that says about that. Different countries with their different stuff. This is about the first time we're getting that. But in the first place, there are even some people that are not supposed to be on the ballots, you know. But in a lawless society, anything happens, just like it is in our country. You know, there's a lot of lawlessness. So I shouldn't think that should happen. Again, in the first place, there's some people, you know, that shouldn't have been on the ballot in the first place because of their antecedents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same question goes to you, Barrister Joseph Baggio.
Well, legally speaking, when a matter is in court, automatically it becomes sub judice, and we have to restrain ourselves bringing such information or talking about those cases in the public domain. But in this case, so far there is no court order stopping the inauguration yet. There is no valid court ruling or judgment hindering the inauguration. So whatever we may have been reading is still information gotten from the public domain. But the only thing I can say as a lawyer is, if we must show ourselves as a law-abiding country, if we must have respect for rule of law, if there is such order, then they ought to obey it. But for now, the non-existence of it, whatever information being shared is still out of speculations, information from public domain, which cannot be 100% relied upon. But however, it goes to show that Nigerians have to be vigilant as to what is happening. That's the only thing I can say on that.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Collins.
Thank you. I am not aware that the petitioners have asked for the declared president-elect not to be sworn in on the 29th of May. And so I do not see any cause or the tribunal themselves stopping that from happening. I believe what they are working towards is, looking at the merits of the petitions made, and then that is without prejudice to every other activities that will be going on in Nigeria. Now, that is stating it as I understand it. Of course, it is a different question if the question is, do I think that the president-elect, the declared president-elect should be sworn in? I mean, that's a different kettle of fish entirely. But the answer to your question, from my understanding, is that stopping the swearing in of the declared president-elect is not on the agenda at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Collins. Next is Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Same question.
Well, I think like the barrister before Honorable Collins said, and also Honorable Collins mentioned, I don't know why we will even be debating the issue of the interim government. There's a case, like I said during my presentation, my intervention. We are currently in court, the African Democratic Congress, with few other political parties to challenge the outcome of the election. So we just need to wait as good Democrats to wait the decision of the court. And I think if the court decides in one way or the other, there are enough, procedures and also enough, the law of the land to guide us on the way to forward. So I will not get into the speculation of interim government or not. I'll wait for the outcome of the electoral challenge that we have put before the court. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Frederick Oderiga, same question.
Well, during my presentation, I said that it is morally wrong for somebody to be sworn into office when he has a case in court challenging his election. And this is an aspect of the Nigerian Constitution that the 10th National Assembly must look into. We have a government that has disobeyed over 50 court orders already. That's talking about the government of Muhammadu Buhari. And we have 5 senior advocates of Nigeria in this government, talking about the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, Babatunde Fashola, Abubakar Malami, Issa Sage, and Festus Keyamo. These people are there, and they are not even interpreting the law properly to the president, even if he does not know. Therefore, I would like to suggest to Nigerian NGOs that this is the time for you to save our country. How? Go to court, get an injunction to stop the inauguration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu until the determination of the substantive suit, which is already in court, as instituted by the opponents. That is what we need now. And that is what I think we should try to pursue in terms of trying to interpret the law the way it should be. I am not a lawyer, but commonsensically, I believe that there should be an injunction stopping the inauguration. And the NGOs in Nigeria should be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that summation. We are having some technical challenge here. We can't pull up some of the questions. So I think I see some hand
Hello, moderator. Is the moderator with us? Hello.
You may have to stand in for him, Frederick. Then when he comes.
Yeah, I think so too. That was going to be my suggestion.
Okay. In that case, we can see that somebody just said that we could use the opportunity to verbalize our thoughts. Therefore, but the issue here is that I cannot unmute some persons. But if you can unmute yourself and you have something to say, please unmute yourself and say it. I see somebody holding a yellow microphone, looking like near some wiki of River State. Please, you have the floor.
Oh, okay.
No, that's me, I think. No, you are Adeola. I think
sorry,
yeah,
that should be you, but I was the one who wrote that some of us can verbalize our questions if you permit.
Okay. Oh, no worries. I can wait.
Well, you can go ahead.
I'll wait.
No, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, the standing moderator. My actually question is to my sister, Honorable Patience. I was the one that asked a question. Sorry, I can't put on my camera because of where I am. Sorry about that. I was the one that asked a question about the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Ahmed Bola Tinubu, allegedly in London. Now, I thank her for. Okay. Right. Okay. My point is okay. That's fine. That's fine. My question is, since she didn't have any evidence to support her statement that the two were in London together, should she have made that statement on a serious platform like this one? Thank you.
Did she make a statement that
exactly
both of them were together?
Yeah,
yes,
I did not hear her make a statement.
Dr. Frederick.
Okay, I mean, if you were to review her delivery, you would see that she mentioned.
Please, over to you, Patience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frederick. For everyone that listened, it wasn't a statement from me. And I also added that to every rumor, there's an iota of truth. So I was stating what we hear from Nigerians. That's what the speculation is.
Social media.
Can you allow me to finish, please? Thank you. What the speculation is, what Nigerians are saying. And I said in every rumor, there's an iota of truth, if this is what is happening and all that. And I also repeated that worse things have happened. So that CJN was, maybe seen or speculated to have been seen, going to, nothing is new, So it wasn't a statement from Patience as if I was standing at the airport and I saw it for myself. I just repeated what we hear in the news, what Nigerians are saying and all that. So it's not that she said, so thank you for the question. And it's good that you add your voice, your view, so that it can be corrected. Thank you.
Okay, over to you, yes.
Okay, can I go ahead now?
Yes, please do.
All right, thank you, Dr. Frederick, and everyone. Thank you so much for putting together this forum for us to be able to discuss the post-election crisis. Please, I'd like to make a comment before I ask my question. I noticed that many of the questions that were being read we're not actually addressing the theme of our discussion this evening in Nigeria. So I would want to plead that we should focus more on post-election crisis instead of having to discuss other things that are not relevant to it. Now,
thank you.
Yes, now to my question. I noticed that the crises that we have after the elections, they had their foundation already built before the elections. And I was thinking to myself that if a forum like the Global Coalition for Security of Democracy in Nigeria and other fora that's represented here, maybe by Madam Patience and the rest, I think the time has come for us not to just stop at the point of talking. We need to go to the point of actually taking actions to form a formidable, maybe what they call a third force. I can say the Labour Party now has formed a third force. I think we need to begin to look at how can we curb electoral crisis. Can we use technology? Can we look at what other countries are doing, their evolution over time? What did they do? Is it possible for us to push a bill at the National Assembly to push the INEC to do the right thing and the government to fund that action? Because I think we can actually do it with process automation, because we are not dullants. They think beavers will work, but eventually it did not work. So some of these crises, they had their foundation laid before the election, and then they continued after the election. So I want to know, is it possible for us to start something from here, that every well-meaning Nigerian, whether you're in diaspora, I'm in Nigeria right now, I've been out of the country, but I want to know, is it possible for us to start something right here, right now, so that at the end of the day, when we become majority, and then we speak to the minds of Nigerians, then we can control things and even being in the government. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just answer that question directly so that the next person will speak. Thank you for that correction. Please, if you want to ask any questions, let it be in line with the topic of discussion. Talking about mode of voting, you know, when this beavers thing was on, the political vampires were conceptualizing ideas of how to circumvent the beavers. That is why you saw them do what they do. People started to print again, like taking us back to the pre-beavers days. So exactly. even before the election, the national chairman of APC categorically said that no, the beavers machine will not work. He has no faith in the beavers machine. They were even afraid of the elections. If you ask me, online voting is what Nigerians need. Exactly. Because we must tailor our democracy in line with our culture and environment. We do not need to be in contact with the MC Oluomos of today. We do not need to be in contact with the Tony Kabakas of today. Nigerians should be able to vote from the comfort of their homes using their mobile phones. Mobile phones, you don't need to be transporting ballot papers and you're saying, oh, INEC came late, oh, something happened on the way, oh, they stole the beavers machine, oh, thugs came and burnt. No. That system will not work for Nigeria. We have our biometric data in our SIM cards. And from the comfort of your homes, you can vote. That is what we should tell the 10th National Assembly to do. Nigeria does not need this kind of election. We don't even need beavers machine. Now, because they've already bought the beavers machine, let's not waste that money. Take the beavers machine to countries where Nigerians have embassies so that we can use the beavers machine for diaspora voting come 2027. Then on the issue of coming together to form a third force, I believe that Nigerians in diaspora will have a lot to do this time around. NGOs abroad, Nigerians in diaspora groups must come together. Let us be making collective statements, not just one group writing something or doing something. Let us be cooperating so that we can speak with one voice. If we form a common platform and we're speaking together, fine, it will be stronger. Nigerians in diaspora organization will tell you, oh, we are not political, we are not political. That is why they are restricting themselves from playing the roles they ought to have been playing. So you cannot tell me that, oh, we are not political in NIDO, but you have the chairman of NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri, campaigning for Tinubu and being MC, for him, So if the boss of NIDCOM can be campaigning, she's political, you are telling me that we, under NIDO, under NIDCOM, we cannot be political. We are deceiving ourselves. Over to the next question, please.
Dr. Frederick.
Yes.
I think you should give audience to your other panelists to.
Yes, please do. Yes, please do.
You said that I would like to.
Okay. Let us do it this way. What I intend doing is that for one question, if 4 of us take one question, it might take time. So what I will just do is that when I answer, if I answer any question, and any panelists wish to chip in, just like you have rightly done, please feel free to do so, just to save time.
Thank you so much. And that's
carry on, please.
And mine was it's in the regards of forming a formidable force in the diaspora or back home or jointly collaboration, which is great. And the issue that Nigerians in diaspora organization believe that they are non-partisan, that they are not political, and so therefore will not do anything about it. That is really wrong. That is very, very wrong. It's an organization that I belong to, and both on the local level and the national level, the global level, the national level, I chaired. Okay, I was the public relation officer for 2 years, and I chaired, the whole of the US for 3 years. In that period, we condemned things that we need to condemn. We did not, Nigerians in the diaspora organization was one of those organizations when Buhari came, I think it was in 2016, to New York. We were the only organization that gave him a write-up and itemized things of what Nigerians need to grow, where so many of us were coming to give him flags and chipping in a complimentary card in his hand when he wants to shake them. Nigerians in diaspora was the only one, that gave him, that spoke, the mind of Nigerians. And I'm not here supporting Nigerians in diaspora. And what I said earlier, if you feel that the leaders in Nigerians in diaspora are not doing what they need to do, don't stay at the backside. Don't stay on the fence. Join the organization. Fight the good fight. Become the leader yourself. Fight to work to the leadership. Do your own. You don't even have to be the chairman to talk. It's your organization. We represent ourselves. That we have a NIDCOM today is a fight from the NIDO organization, and it's not represented. They didn't do it to represent only those in NIDO. It's a fight for Nigeria. We are there for national development. And like I said earlier, national development is not about sitting with Buhari or sitting with the leaders that be to shake hands. It's about improving the lives of the people, improving our economy, fighting for a good cause. And those are so many of us that are still leaders and past leaders have done. And if you feel the current leaders are not doing what they need to do, then speak up, write them, talk to them. And so yes, it's non-partisan, but when we see what the governments are not doing, we stand, and speak. I did it. When I was PRO, when I was chairman, we fought the good fight. We condemned what needed to be condemned, whether in presidency, whether the abduction, yes, we did. We fought a good fight. And if you feel they are not doing it right now, but I do not feel that we should keep forming mushroom organizations. That is one of the big things that divide us. Is a big division. We have 5 people form an organization. We have 100 people form an organization. We have an organization that speaks the mind of the people. And if you feel they're not doing this, just as we're here right now to say what happened in the election does not speak for to the mind of the people or to what the people wanted to do. The same thing we should do when it comes to NIDO. NIDO does not belong to the chairman. It does not belong to the executives. It belongs to all Nigerians. By default, every Nigerian living outside Nigeria is a member of NIDO. So if we stay at the back burner and we don't speak up, then we give, just like we give, it's happening in Nigeria, we will give those in NIDO the opportunity to do whatever they like. We have to correct them. I tell people, when you get to the organization, read the aims and objectives. What was NIDO meant to be? Meant to speak the mind of the people and to improve Nigeria. National development is not sitting with Buhari, it's speaking for the good of Nigeria and advancing Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there any other panelists that would like to contribute to this?
I think I have an intervention too.
Okay.
For me, I believe in solution. I don't really believe talking and talking and talking. But before we can solve a problem, we must first of all appreciate the history of this country. And if we have to take the history of this country from the colonial period, flowing from 1851, or if you want, you can take it from 1861, when Lagos was bombarded and annexed to the British colony in 1861. If you calculate from that period, from 1861 down to 1948, it's exactly 97 years. But if you take it from, 87 years. But if you take it from 1851, you have 97 years. That is 97 years of colonialism before we got the first university in Nigeria, the premier university in 1948. Flowing down from that time to 1960, we had our independence. And from that 1960 to date, we've been into civil war and all of that. We've had our own challenges. Now, from the return of Nigeria back to democracy in 1999, we've had 7 elections. And these 7 elections have been conducted in a very permit me to say, quite an unprofessional manner, because we did not involve the use of technology per se. Now, our Electoral Act has undergone 3 amendments from 2006 to 2010, and now we have 2022. And this is the first time the Electoral Act will be permitting the use of technology. And this is the first time, even though the card reader was used, but it was used as a matter of policy. But for the use of the beavers is allowed by the Electoral Act of 2022. That is to tell us that there is a whole lot of things we need to do as political advocates, as far as digital enlightenment is concerned, as far as technology improvement is concerned. This should be the basis of our conversation at the moment. How do we strengthen it? Because if you talk about the bad system, yes, the bad system has been there. And I would tell you, the American Constitution hadn't undergone 18 amendments. They fought their own civil war. They took their own destinies in their hands. So it is not for us to say, look, things are bad. Yes, things are bad. But what about the areas that the country has? What if the Electoral Act was not signed in the first place? But the good thing, it has been signed. So now there are a lot of things confronting us. We need a whole lot of conversation as far as digital inclusion is concerned, issues of women participation in politics is concerned, issues of youth participation in politics is concerned. These are strong conversations that we should be engaging in if we must come out of this of the situation. If not, we'll find a cycle of people ruling us and all of that. But if we start this, imagine if this conversation spread from now to the next 4 years, 2027, we'll achieve a great result. A lot of enlightenment, the rural communities, the women, and all of that. So for me, I don't really subscribe to extreme lamentation per se, but how do we deal with the issue? So both collaboration and partnership for those of us within and those of you who are in the diaspora At home, what can we see? What can we do together? What can we help to solve the community, improve our communities? How do we create enlightenment for our how do we raise the political consciousness of our women, of our youth? How do we include digital so that going forward, people will know these things and leadership will be based on performance indicators. So we'll put our searchlight, our watchlight on the current leader. So that's the way I want. For me, I feel we should be looking at this so that going forward, when we have election, we will not be having crisis as we're having now, a post-election crisis as we're having now, but we'll rather be sitting down to say that, look, how do we begin the act of governance? It starts now. That's the way I look at it. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much. We are about closing this program, so we are going to be brief in our presentation so that more people will have the opportunity to speak. I would like to open the floor to, is there any other panelists that would like to comment on the question raised? Okay. In the absence of no other comment, if there are questions that you would like to raise at this point, please feel free to express yourself.
Sorry, Dr. Frederick.
Yes, please.
I'm not actually going to ask a question. I want to make a comment on the possible solution for the crisis, especially yes. Violence during the election and after election. So okay. I was thinking, because I saw the tone of responses from some of the panelists, and I felt it was a little bit becoming heated up, and it's not going to take us anywhere, just like Barrister Joseph said. What I think is, if we look at electoral processes in other countries of the world, they bear different faces compared to Nigeria and other African countries. And we might need to look at homegrown, we might need to look at our peculiarities in Nigeria before we can design a solution for, to those crises. Number one, the law enforcement agencies and working in hand with INEC, we need to find a way to address the issue of election day crisis. Why are people not coming out to vote? Because most people, especially in Lagos and Rivers states, most people are afraid that, you know what, instead of me to go out and be lynched, I'd rather stay home and watch channels and watch the cable news to see what is going on, even when they have their PVC. So we were thinking that, see, where I voted during the election, it was so open that if anything had happened at that point in time, I had no cover. Nobody had any cover. So I was thinking that because we have such peculiarities that anything can happen at any time, we could have a redesigned location for elections to take place where security can be assured for people who are inside, not outside and not in the open, inside a designated environment, not in front of a palace or under a shed or inside a church and whatever. So because those places do not provide cover or security for people, and then INEC and the state government or the local government can provide vehicles for people to move from the interland to these designated polling units for people to vote. And that way, you can have more INEC officials, there, and voting can take place. If we need to use ballot paper, and our ballot paper must be like a currency that can be vected. It shouldn't just be ordinary paper. It should be a paper that has barcode, all right, that the machine can confirm that it was correct. It's the original paper and all that. So I'm saying that we should look for solutions, not looking back and all that. So can we discuss solutions to the crisis so that we will know the way forward? Because that's what the team says. What is next? So what is next? Do you think we can do that, sir?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry, Honorable Frederick, I have my hands are up for a very long time. I will need to go.
Okay, please, yes,
maybe
please say something before you go.
Okay, hello. Well done, well done. I must commend you on this discussion, which is really timely. In response to the panelist, the lady who spoke about. By the way, my name is Susan Wire, former gubernatorial aspirant for Benue State. I'm still here, Chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora, United Kingdom. I would like to say here that my chapter have supported me all through this, all through this time, and are supporting the right to vote and be voted for, and for that bill to be passed. And I took time off to be here on ground. I don't believe in just standing, staying away and speaking and talking and chatting all the time. We need to support those who are on ground, who are working endlessly to ensure that the right things are done and the right bills are passed for our own benefits in the diaspora. So I think more of this discussion, maybe probably next time, because there's no time for us to talk and make suggestions for solutions. So thank you for you giving me this opportunity to say anything at all. And Citizen Omusa has been great, and most of our diaspora members who are on this this program as well, they have done so much. They've come, they've voted, and they've made their mark, and they've gone back home. I'm going back home end of this month because I know I have done what I came to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Susan. Very nice to see you here or to hear you here. Thank you very much. Whatever we are discussing today, we are going to put all our points together and we'll put them in a book. Because this program is going to be organized once in a month. We want to open up for the GCSDN. We want to be discussing with the Nigerian public on issues concerning our country. So every month, please look forward to this. Already we do this program like on daily basis in a way that we have different topics handled by different people on our channel. We even have some Pidgin English program that we're doing also. Every day, GCSDN, we do different programs and it's all about our country. In case you have not joined us on such programs, please try to do so. I would like to give the floor to El Gobiano, please.
Yes, sorry,
my hands will be hopeless.
That was my son's name. I was accidentally joined the line.
El Gobiano, please, can you say something here?
Yes, I was just going to say, what is everybody's opinions on the law about being gay in Nigeria?
About what?
About part of the LGBTQ community and being gay.
That is all you want to say?
Yes, and just how the new voting laws is going to affect that.
This program is not to discuss all the issues that we have in Nigeria. There is a topic, and the topic is the Nigerian elections and the crisis that are ensuing. So so we want to restrict ourselves to the topic that we have here today. So on that note, please yes, thank you very much. So on that note, let us go to
my hand is up.
Okay, please.
Taiwo.
Yes, Mr. Taiwo, please carry on.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on this platform. And I believe that so many things have been said about the postmortem of the 2023 elections. I just have some few things to either say indirectly as a question or perhaps as a comment. First of all, Nigeria is a country of a population of about over 200 million, estimated the estimated population of about 200 million people. And
200 million, did you
going
say?
by the,
Oh no, I did not see that
please,
much.
Can you please mute your mic, please? All right.
Sorry.
And the active population in the election is about 80% of that population. But unfortunately, during all the elections we've had in the past, the turnout has been less than 20%. But the question comes to mind that why would a population of such country want to have an election that will last for 6 hours for that kind of a population? How would you expect a credible process for 6 hours for an election for an election of a country as big as Nigeria? That's number one. Number two, I believe, though I joined it late, but at least I was able to pick some of the discussants. And it's quite unfortunate that no one has actually discussed about the unity of Nigeria, because every institutional reforms that we actually look forward to, either electoral reform, economic policy reforms and all that, the security reforms, they think it's all about the people. Now, what is the level and awareness of people about what Nigerians should be or what a nationhood should be? Now, poverty has been weaponized in Nigeria. If you go up north, illiteracy, out of school children are on the high side. Poverty is on the high side.
Please,
but unfortunately, how would you expect
Can you restrict your comment to 2 minutes? Can you restrict it to 2 minutes?
I'll round up quickly now. I'll round up. Now, going by the events of some of the gubernatorial election and the aftermath of the election, and even during the presidential election, about the tribal and ethnic division that has crept into our politics, just like waking up the cancerous worm, and it's eating up the polity. Do you think we will have a united Nigeria, or a Nigeria that we can stand for, when a house that is divided against itself? And don't forget, a house that is divided against itself, they say it cannot stand. I submit for now. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Thank you very much. Unity of a country comes with patriotism. And when there is justice, when there is equity, you get patriotism. So the issue of unity in Nigeria has to do with the political will of our leaders. And it is very important for them to stand up and do something needful. We cannot be talking about patriotism when hardworking Nigerians are saying that people that are aspiring to be Senate presidents, that be making law for our country, are people that have EFCC cases. So that is something that I believe that we should begin to also address. Then talking about people not coming out to vote, like you said.
What?
You know, I initially suggested that we should have a system of election where people
I do not think he is part of a Nigerian community.
Please, could you mute your microphone?
I think we have an imposter.
El Gabiano, please, can you mute your microphone? Thank you. So back to what I was saying, you know, I'm just standing in for the moderator, so I don't have the...
Don't worry, what are you doing here?
I don't have the hosting right to mute somebody. That's why it's quite unfortunate, but next time we can handle this.
Don't worry, get out of this call now. What are you doing?
So I was saying that the online election is what I think we need, and online voting is what I think we need to...
Why should I get off this call? You
Nigerians.
Get off this call.
that will make Nigerians have the confidence to come out again to vote. Okay, so can we have the next? Is there any panelists that would like to say something at this point?
Yeah, this is Patience.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
in regards
Sorry, just
to
really quickly, I have seen John
Please,
Bollis.
Martins,
Mr. Olakapa is a host. He can mute them.
No, but please, John Bollis is a YouTuber. He comes in and he invades Zoom classes and tries to disrupt us. Could we please remove him? He's quite disrespectful.
Thank you very much. So please carry on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in terms of unity, and like Mr. Taiwo said, he didn't start with us. I actually spoke on the foundation of everything. If the foundation be destroyed, what can we do? Yeah, so to talk about unity, there's just a lot that has to go with it. And I do not believe it's just only the political will of our leaders. Even the will of the influencers, who are the citizens, matters most, because we take leaders from the influencers, from the citizens. Our leaders come from us. Tomorrow, I don't know where Dr. Frederick is going to be. I don't know where Mr. Collins and Nweke, Bandi, and all that is going to be. And we're all influencers. Dino and the rest of them were somewhere yesterday doing activism. Today, they are part of our leaders. So, the will has to be both on those who are already on the seat of power, leading us, and the people who put them in power, whether by whichever way we put them in power. So when the way we're looking at things now, the foundation, of our democracy, that we don't even enjoy, it's been destroyed. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a great collaboration between those in Nigeria and Nigerians all over the world. So again, we need to be patriotic. There comes a solution because there's a problem. If we don't have a problem, I don't think we'll be here, talking about the solution. So we have bad eggs who have who is sitting in our country where it is right now. Then for those of us who believe that we are good people, let's work out strategy on the way forward. And in terms of having 200 million people sit on an election for 6 hours, in the United States, we do election in different ways. You have the early voters, you have those who want to vote electronically, and you have those who want to come to the election arenas to vote. Yes, I agree with Dr. Frederick that because of the situation of the country, because of our antecedents, online or virtual voting should be the case. But we should also remember that there are some of our family members, our parents, our old ones, people in some areas that do not have the resources and the opportunity to vote online. So it should be both ways. Why we also make sure, keep speaking, that those that are supposed to, the security agents, do the work they need to do to make things better. Yeah, 6 hours is too short for an election, and we know why what is happening is happening. We need to dig into the root cause of our problems, so it will be easy to resolve our problems. And when we also continue to allow those who have led us as military governments come back to become civilians, we're not just going to get a miracle overnight. Thank you.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Lebo, is Lebo still there with us? Lebo, if you are there, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Frederick.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say two things. For meetings, thank you for convening meetings like this. And I just wanted to add that for it to look professional and take things serious for us and people watching, when there are interruptions, like we've noticed severally, the moderators should mute such participants you have the powers, or delegate that power to somebody who can do that, so that there won't be interruptions and interference in the discussions as it progresses. That aside, I just wanted to put it here for people that may be listening, both those local. Thank you very much, whoever action that. For those listening, both abroad and outside or in Nigeria, there's something that I need you to know. I understand that INEC did this election with about 300 and something odd billion naira. There's a technology in place already, extant technology, that the so-called beavers that was used to take photographs of those accreditation papers and whatever was sent back to the back end. There's a technology in place that can take that picture, extract the word there, tabulate it, chalk that in, and give you instant result, 2 pages. As you do it in one link, people that have, and if there are 2 iPads, for instance, one person is doing that, the other person is watching the screen. All you need to do is to set a refresh interval on that server, and when you upload, immediately you will see the output, the other end. And this technology will not take a tenth of how much was spent for this election to put in operation for our country. We can do that. And so what I'm saying in essence is that for us, live abroad, what we could do to set the pace is how do we bring this technology and bring it and make it acceptable for the armed robbers back home there to pass it into law and allow it to fly. That's what we should be discussing here. We know that the election was a robbery, clear case robbery. So question of, don't let things go forward. We should calm down and make peace is Bangladesh. We can do better. And this is my own front. We can bring this, we can demo it. It's very easy, very basic. So when you now spend, a whooping 300 and something billion and you deliver a charade like that, come on, man. We are better than that.
Please, can everyone hear me? This is Edmund DK.
Yes, I'm giving the floor over to Edmund, the moderator. Lebo, I was just standing in for him, so I could not mute people that were making, that have some distractions in the background. So over to you, Edmund. And I would like Edmund to recognize Emeka Williams to speak. But for now, over to you, Edmund.
Thank you very much for filling in the gap when technology have its issue. So thank you for filling that gap. Emeka Williams, the floor is yours. To just 1 minute, please. You can keep it short. And we're going to try to wrap up. I hope all my...
Thank you very much.
I keep muting this.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, please, Emeka, before you continue.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please.
Moderator,
all
please.
Right, thank you.
If that person continues to distract us, remove the person from the program. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, I'll remove the person, I hope.
All right. All right, thank you very much. It's been wonderful being part of this program meant to redirect the course of Nigeria positively. So I'm just going to say, I don't, it's not a question now, but my observation, Nigeria is governed, it's a system where the judiciary, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature seem to be the same. And when you have a situation like this, there's no checkmating. No one serves as a watchdog. That is why you keep having the same problem recurrent. So against this background, I think in profiling a panacea, these are some of the areas we should look into as we begin to discuss the way forward for Nigeria. Then I want to quickly leave this question for Madam Patience Key. Yes, and because she's someone who came here and saw everything recently as regarding the elections. Yeah. What does she think the next president, whoever is inaugurated finally, should do, having seen the crisis of leadership, of democracy in Nigeria? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful question. Honorable Patience, I think the question is yours. You have the floor. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Meka. Thank you for your question. Mr. Edmond, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll go back again to the root causes of our problems. The person that may be given the opportunity to lead, has to be someone that was a part of the election, whether by hook or that came in by hook or by crook. And you're wondering, what kind of solution, what kind of advice do we give such person? The foundation of a thing matters. I still stick to that. Just like you want your business to prosper, you want your marriage to prosper, you want your own livelihood as an individual or as a business to prosper, the same way we want Nigeria to prosper. And whatever you give is what you get out. You say baggage in, baggage out. So the question is a good one, but looking at the space we are in Nigeria and the people that are already lined up, or the, individuals that are lined up, or the person who was selected to be, you will wonder what will come out of it when it's there. Just like looking at 2015, so many thought we have a Messiah, and this is how we have gone through for 8 years and all that. Mind, what I've advised several times is that there should be a rerun. This is not the heart of Nigeria. This is not what Nigerians want. So when we do that, then we can come back and like, okay, this is what, we want this president to do. Everybody know that we need a structure in Nigeria because there's no structure. I've been interviewed several times talking about, in regards of our constitution. Yes, every constitution in this world has their lacunas, but we can make do of those parts, that can make the Nigerian society go forward. Instead of, we have to disband this before the next election, like so many people have said. So if I answer the question in regards to what we have right now, we are going to keep going deep into inflation, into poverty. You can imagine Nigeria, as rich as we are, by talent, by resources, sitting as the poverty capital of the world. So the people you put in place as your leaders to prefer policies, to think of implementation, to think of how to advance the lives of the people, their properties, and the economy matters. So someone or a group of leaders have been able to make us, sit as the poverty capital of Nigeria, taking over from India that has more than 1 billion population. So I'm looking at the root causes and the roots of our issues. If we say, okay, those ones that are already there, and the person that that have been selected comes in, except miracle happens. I know people say, somebody can change. I don't know how that's going to happen, but if it does not, where we will be. But in the long run, we need a leader, one that is passionate, because what I see that Nigeria needs now is love. We need people that are compassionate, not just with passion, that understand empathy. You see yourself in the shoe of the suffering Nigerians. For example, those who live outside, or even those who live in Nigeria and are living very well. And you're coming to say you want to be the leader, whether you're as a governor, as a president, as a senator. You put yourself in the shoe of the suffering Nigerians, looking at insecurity, looking at the educational system, looking at the health of the people. All you want to do is structure things, put things in the right perspective, build roads, build the economy, and make the lives of the people, build transportation, and make the lives of the people better. There's a lot of things. When I say structure, I mean in all ramification. So there's no need to begin to mention one by one. That's what a good leader, somebody who have a heart for the people, someone who can define patriotism, that's what they will do. But with what we have right now, and someone is declared, it might still, and some of them want to continue the legacy of 2015 and 2019, then we're going to keep coming to this platform and talking until Nigeria as a collective, there's going to be this problem. US was not always like this. People fought for the betterment, and people are still fighting for the betterment of this nation. And guess what? Wherever we are in Europe, in North America, we are fighting and sustaining these economies. Why our own, it's the way it is. So that's just my question. It's logical, but we have to think deep back to the root causes and where the foundation is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have been on for 2 hours, 39 minutes. So I think we're going to be coming to a close in the next 10 minutes. So we'll have Citizen Omusa raising hands. So I'll allow one more person to raise their hand to speak, to ask question. And then after you can ask, after the response of the panelists, then they will give a closing remark and we end this discussion for today. All right, Amusa, Citizen Amusa, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thanks for giving me the floor. While you were away, Frederick spoke about programs being presented almost every day. Now, maybe you would want to come back and tell us how we can get access to this program. I'm here today, courtesy of my senior brother when I say senior brother, not necessarily in age, but in European politics, my brother Bandy, Kenneth Bandy. Without him, I wouldn't have known that this program was holding. So if we can, maybe Frederick can come back. I bump into a lot of his programs, often by chance. I don't always agree with him, but I respect his views, and I respect him also, his courage and the rest. Now, I have a quick question. I did ask earlier, but it wasn't picked up by the panelists. I don't know whether it was deliberate or not.
All right, go ahead with the question.
Now, the topic of this program is, crisis, election crisis in Nigeria. I think we do have a crisis because we have at least two main political parties in court at the moment asking the courts to intervene. Now, if we assume there is no evidence at the moment, the court will determine whether it was rigged or not. But if we assume that it was rigged and the questionable or disputed votes are kind of taken away, I was just wondering whether the panelists think that the decision or the declaration that INEC made would be reversed. And if it is, who is likely to win? Because we have two political parties, PDP and LP, both saying they won. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, Citizen Omusa. I'll ask Honorable Collins Mwoke, are you still there to answer that question? And after that, if any other panelists want to add to that, they can add to that. Honorable Collins Mwoke, are you still here?
Thank you. My response to that would be very straightforward, and that is that, number one, the judges will be expected to make a determination as to which votes are going to be eliminated. And I believe they will also make another determination as to whether, generally speaking, the election could be considered free, fair, and credible. Now, if the answer to the second question, which is whether the election is free, fair, and credible, if the answer to it is yes, and then they will be led to the second, to the first question, which is which votes are eliminated And after a recount, for want of a better word to say, I don't know, I'm not conversant with all the technicalities, I believe that, you know, at the end, you know, a determination will be made as to, you know, who won the election. But if it is adjudged not to be free, fair, and credible, of course, the expected ruling will be that, you know, that the election is, you know, reconducted, that there is a rerun. Now, let me take this opportunity to respond in a word or two to the question that I believe is Mr. Williams, you know, asked me previously, which was in regards to what happens if the ruling of the judges of the tribunal is not acceptable by the people. If they believe that it lacked credibility, what should they do? Well, there is civil obedience, there are protests and all of that going on. I believe Nigerians reserve the right to protest things that in their judgment are not in tune with their expectation, as long as they have evidence to back it up, and secondly, as long as it is done within, as long as it is done within the boundaries of the law. So we cannot expect anything less. But you see, that is actually putting the cart before the horse. I want to believe that despite the trust deficit within the judiciary, despite the fact that there are numerous examples of, you know, the court not being as independent as enshrined in the Constitution, that there are also isolated cases, and incrementally too, of judges, you know, being purposeful, actually acting according to the book. So let's keep the faith, give them that, you know, benefit of the faith, and hope that they do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Collins Moke, for that answer. Any other panelists want to add to that?
Well, because the issue concerns that of law, I just want to make a brief comment that most time you hear the court saying, we are not Father Christmas. We cannot give you what you've not asked for. So all the petitions before the Election Petition Tribunal have their various prayers. And some of those prayers are ranging from issues of non-qualification of the candidate in the first place. Some are saying nullify the election and order for a rerun and all of that. So if at the end of the day, on the imaginary scale, based on evidence, the court finds it one way or the other, the ruling will be based on the prayers placed before the courts and not by any assumption. It is going to be by the prayers made by the petitioners, except where the court feels there is every need to make what we call consequential orders. Then the court will go ahead to make those consequential orders. So,
much love.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving us that legal perspective, Barrister Joseph Baggio. I think that is all the questions we have for now. And the question that Citizen Musa asked about how to get in touch with the various programs that the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy does. We have, I'm one of the anchors of the show. I anchor every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, a program known as Nigerian Constitution and Your Right. And it's every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. So you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I believe Frederick just sent the link. I thought Frederick just sent the link on the comment section, so you can look at the link and note that and join subscribe. And you can also send the links on Twitter handles of the coalition, also personal Twitter handles too, like since I put my information about my show on my own Twitter handles.
Just quickly, I am running for the next election. I trust they will have all your votes. I will once and for all bring peace to Nigeria.
Please, can you mute that person or remove?
Or remove. Just remove her.
Please remove the person from the discussion. We are discussing something serious here, and we do not want anybody to.
The person has been removed.
She'll come back again. Sorry, can I just make a comment, please, Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I think my question was silly. I should have known where to go and get all these details. The other thing I just wanted to add is that I doubt if a court would declare that the elections were free, fair, and credible. I think what we're likely to get is that the declared results fairly reflect the votes cast. I think I don't think they will be that categorical, but I think
you cannot get rid of me that easy.
Okay, I'll stop there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Citizen Amusa.
Vote for my election, yeah? You cannot get rid of.
Thank you, Citizen Amusa. I think that is that. I don't know if all my panelists are available. If all my panelists are available at this moment, we'll have a 1 minute each closing remark. And in your closing remark, I know you have mentioned it here and there during your presentation and your answers, but I want you to reiterate it again. What are the in practical terms and practical steps, what are the solutions we can apply going forward to build the Nigeria of our dream, whereby we can have a free, fair, credible election? We cannot continue all this kind of electoral crisis post-election. In clear terms, in practical terms, and what are your solutions? And use that as a 1 minute closing remark and say all the things you want to say to the audience right here and other Nigerians that will listen to this broadcast later in the future. Thank you. I will start in order that I started at the beginning, ladies first. So, Honorable Patience Ndidi Key, you have the floor. 1 minute, please. Keep it short. 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. I would say true and genuine collaboration. That's what will bring the unity that we need. We should not be one of those or part of those that in talking we are explicit, we want this done, but when it comes to character-wise, we are now, we are found wanting. So true and genuine collaboration. We see what is good. Yeah, I don't have to be from Edo State or from Benue or from Nasarawa, but because this is a good cause, we join forces to make things better for the nation and for the people. True and genuine collaboration breeds unity that we all deserve. Thank you. Or desire.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Barrister Joseph Baggio. 1 minute closing remark. Practical solutions in clear terms. Barrister Joseph Baggio, are you still with us?
Yeah. For me, I'd like to leave us with these great words of the great emperor of men of Ethiopia, when the Italians came to capture Ethiopia and colonize them in the battle they called the Battle of Adwa in 1896. And he said, fellow
Joseph,
Ethiopians,
you're mute. We can't hear you.
I'm not.
Who can hear you? Go ahead, Dr. Joseph.
Yeah.
I'm hearing him.
And he said, fellow Ethiopians, the enemies have come to take over our land. Those of you who have powers, allow yourself to be conscripted into the army. Those of you who are weak, offer in your prayers. That statement helped Ethiopia in raising a military force of over 80,000 that fought against the 20,000 military prowess of Italy. And in the light of that, I'm telling and calling on everybody that the enemies have come to take over our land. And these enemies are what? Tribalism, favoritism, sectionalism, and all of that. Corruption, these are things that are bedeviled. And until, just like Madam Patience said, until we come together through a strong collaboration, form a strong collaboration, a strong partnership, and raise the bar of advocacy and awareness to deal with this issue, most especially now that there is every need for strong digital advocacy for our people, and also advocacy towards improving on the technology or the use of our election. I think that is one thing I want to leave us with, to think through and see how we can join forces to deal with the menace. I'd like to thank you very much, the organizers, for having me on this program, and be rest assured of my time, anytime, any day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Joseph. You've always been great and answer our call whenever we call you. Over to you, Honorable Collins Moike, in practical terms, in practical solutions. 1 minute, please. Honorable Collins Moike, are you with us?
I think he dropped off. I don't think he's still here.
Let's see.
Yes, he wrote to me that he's joining another meeting. So please, let's carry on.
All right, I guess we'll have Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Over to you. 1 minute closing remark.
Well, thank you very much, Fred and the moderator. Actually, it has been a very long discussion, and I try to avoid paralysis of analysis. That's why I was a little bit quiet most of the time. But that said, what we need basically is electoral reform in Nigeria. More than ever before, where credibility will be more important than the size of the pocket or the political party that one belongs to. Once this is done, you will have competent Nigerians that are not money bags, but have something to offer Nigerians. Take the African Development Bank president, for instance, Adesina, or the World Trade Organization president, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And take also the VCs that refuse to be compromised in Nigeria. They are also Nigerians. And so one can say that this election 2023 have highlighted many flaws and insincerity of Nigerian constitution, flaws in our institutions, but we must have to say that few Nigerians are bad, but Nigeria is not bad. So what we need is more citizen awareness and political education. And above all, we need constitutional reforms. Without constitutional reforms, we'll come back here next year and repeat the same story. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Over to you, Dr. Frederick Oderige.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And like I told you earlier, we shall be having this program monthly. Now, we cannot have constitutional reforms if, please, can you remove this person that has become a nuisance on this platform to start using the name Bob Marley? We cannot continue people like this. Please remove the person permanently.
Bob Marley.
He or she have multiple accounts, have been removed 3 different times.
Yes, he's using Bob Marley or whatever. The person has become a nuisance here. The person has multiple accounts. Anyway, these are some of the issues we have to deal with. Now, before we talk about having electoral reforms, we must have a system in Nigeria where the president does not have the power to appoint the chairman of INEC. He who dictates the tune, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So we should have that law that the president should not have the power to appoint INEC chairman, EFCC chairman, Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Inspector General of Police, because these are the offices that they use to promote autocracy. The other point I want to make is emphasis on online voting. Online voting can only happen if you have the political will of those in power to make it work, because it's not a big deal at all. And for just like Patience said, that there are some of our old people, and there are some people that are in the rural areas that may not have the possibility to vote with mobile phones. There should be provision of mobile phones by INEC for such people on election day, They just come and they show them what to do. And I think electronic voting is what we need in Nigeria. Finally, I want to tell Nigerians, despite the difficult times we are going through, Nigeria belongs to us. We must not give up on country. We shall all be alive to enjoy the Nigeria of our good dreams if we do not give up before the finishing line. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to thank each and every of our panelists that have taken up their time. It's 3 whole hours, because in 2 minutes, it's going to be 3 whole hours that we spent in this much needed conversation to chart a wonderful direction for our country to rise above the crisis that we have right now. So thank you, Honorable Patience Ndidi Key. Thank you, Barrister Joseph Tendio Baggio. Thank you, Honorable Collins Nweke. I know you left for now, but so thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Honorable Kenneth Gandhi. Thank you, Dr. Frederick Oderige. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your wonderful submissions, your brilliant ideas, and the desire or the aspiration is that we not just bring out all the solutions, but we'll actually put them into practice and start implementing them. And I've listened to wonderful ways that we can start implementing that, and by God's help, we will get there. Surely we will get there, God willing. For just a few information before I end this broadcast, is that this program is a GCSDN project, and GCSDN is short for the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. It's a coalition headquartered in the United States, and one of the panelists is actually the global coordinator. That is Dr. Frederick Oderige. He's a global coordinator of GCSDN, and me serving as the moderator for this program. I am the global secretary of the coalition. And as Dr. Frederick elucidated earlier, that we have program every day of the week. Yes, we do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Twitter at GCSDN. And there you will get information of various articles published by the coalition and by Dr. Frederick himself. You can follow Dr. Frederick at his Twitter account as well at F Oderige. You can also follow me on Twitter at Edmund Ike. We'll have information there about our various shows, and most importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, we couldn't stream this live on GCSN YouTube channel, but it's streamed live on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Edmund Ike. I think that is the information I have for you now. Thank you, audience, for participating. Thank you for sharing your questions, wonderful questions, and that were answered by the panelists. Thank you all, and I hope to see you all again when we have this program again. And you can also watch our weekly program. As I said, I host Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, Nigerian Constitution, you're right. And Dr. Frederick hosts every Saturday, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, Soli, short for Solidarity. It's a Pidgin English program. And we'll have face-to-face on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. And we'll have African pace theater. And we'll have one other show. So those are the programs we'll have every day of the week. As soon as you subscribe, you get notification of those shows so that you know when to join and learn. And you can also go and watch our old broadcasts as well and learn from that. And you can always leave us comment in our comment section of every video, and a response shall be issued out to you based on your questions, okay? That is all I have for you all. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time, be blessed. We must surely persevere, and we shall build the Nigeria of our dream sooner than later. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. God bless Nigeria.